鹿の子のこのここしたんたん鹿の子のこのここしたんたん鹿の子のこのここしたんたん鹿の子のこのここしたんたん
Hello everyone, today we'll be unboxing another figurine for the week. Here we have is a figure from the manufacturer and distributor, Good Smile Company. A figure from the manufacturer's freeing is a 1/6 scale PVC figure of the character Shikanoko Noko from the series Shikanoko Noko koしたんたんor My Deer Friend Nokotan. As always, before we take the figurine out of its packaging, just in case you didn't know, Shikanoko Noko koしたんたんor My Deer Friend Noko-tan is a manga series serialized Kodansha Shonen Magazine Edge in 2019 by the artist Oshioshio, who's also worked on a series like Sakura Mai Mai in 2014 and art for novels like Hime-sama Sekai Horobu Kara Gohan Tabe Ikimasu Yo in 2016, Ore no Tachi Ichi wa Koko Janai in 2017, and others. Oshioshio is also known as being a VTuber character designer. Not certain which ones, but that's what it's stated here on their bio. Going back to the series has gotten an anime adaptation with the same name, Shikanoko Noko koしたんたんin 2024, consisting of 12 episodes, animated by Wit Studios. So here we have a Shikanoko Noko, our dear friend, in a 1/6 scale PVC figure. This is the box rotating in 360. So without holding you guys back, let's just take out Shikanoko out of the packaging and see how she looks. So here we have is our dear friend Shikanoko Noko straight out of her packaging, and as you can see here, since this is a freeing figurine, you can see it's actually quite protected, just like we see on freeing's 1/4 scale figurines, which is actually a pretty nice thing to see. A lot more protection than we see with other figurines. As you can see, it's actually quite well to protect the figurine during transit. So let's just remove all of this and see how the figurine looks up close. So here we have is Noko-tan's base, and as you can see here, there's nothing really too much to show you, but before we continue on with the base, here at the bottom of the base we do get its information for the figurine, such as the mangaka's name and other infos like made in China and etc. But you know, here at the bottom there's not really too much to show you. This see is a little bit of the little, you know, insert at the bottom there protruding outwards towards the bottom. But the base is actually translucent. It's almost similar to freeing's 1/4 scale figurines, where it does come with a similar base, and it is actually quite reflective, but again it's also translucent like I'm showing you here. But you can see there is 3 inserts here, where you see one is 1 metal rod and 2 plastic pegs sticking out of the base, where the figurine did not come with an assembly instructions guide, so I'm assuming it's probably simplistic to put together. But I did notice there was this little extra piece here with this little acrylic plastic block here, which I'm assuming this goes on this peg here because the hole is a little bit more smaller than the other one. And I'm guessing was when you place this down is to, you know, stand the figurine a little bit more up. Don't forget to connect this so you can connect the actual figurine onto the base. But besides that, again, there's not really too much to show you. So let's just move on to the actual figurine. So here we have is Shikanoko Noko. As you can see here, this is the actual figurine. And just like we do with every other figurine, we're going to take a closer look here towards her shoe area. And as you can see here, we have is 1 insert on one of her leg or one of her foot, and 2 insert on the other foot. And as you can see here, her shoe, or should I say her loafer, is actually quite, you know, nicely painted. I can't really say too much about it because, you know, it is a loafer, and ignore that was just a little bit of dust on it. As you can see, the Dofer is actually quite nicely painted. I do like it has brown, and towards the tip of the shoe and towards like the bottom heel of it, it's more of a darker shaded like brown. So it's like a little bit of a mixture of both light and dark, which gives the shoe a little bit more detail. Same thing here with the sock, where you do notice that it's a little bit more darker white tone, and also towards the top area is a little bit more darker in tone, while the middle section of the sock is just white. Which again is actually, it's a little touch, or a little bit of detail, a little paint that they do that actually gives it a little bit more a detailed look rather than just having it plain white. See here on the knee area, there's not too much detail when it comes to her skin, but you do see the little creases here on the back, such as where the foot bends, which is actually quite nice. It's a little bit too hard to show you on camera, but I think you can see that when the light doesn't really hit it much, it kind of shows you a little bit of detail on it. Here at the bottom of the skirt, we do get a sculpted underwear and a sculpted stomach. And as you can see here towards the bottom of the skirt, it's actually really nicely detailed. So it's a little bit hard to tell from the camera, but here shining my light, you do see is they actually sculpted her stomach, which is quite surprising. We really don't see that much on figurines. And you do see the underwear actually has a little bit creases on it. Same thing with her backside of her legs and her thigh area, which is actually really detailed. This is something you kind of don't really see when they're marketing the figurine. And I don't purposely show you guys the underneath the skirt. I'm showing you because I'm trying to show you the whole figurine in every aspect of it. So it's not really anything lewd that I know some people might find a problem with. It's just me showing you guys the figurine. But that is actually a plus because it gives you a lot more detail to the figurine rather than it's just being cut towards the leg portion of it like we've seen with other figurines. But besides that, the skirt here looks actually pretty nice. You do see here is a blend of darker blue and a little bit more lighter dark blue towards the middle area, just like we saw with the sock. And there's something I did notice with this is that there's actually a little bit of specks on the skirt. It's actually not that noticeable, but showing you guys up close, you could kind of tell in some areas where I feel like the figurine should have been dusted off. Well, I do have dust on my area, so don't worry, this is not my dust. This was little specks painted on, overlapping on the paint when they were painting the figurine, where you do see these little bumps of unless that was just bubbles that formed during painting the figurine, because I think these are all hand painted, well, from what they say. But I did notice that there's a lot of bumps on the skirt, which it's not too much of an issue, but it's just something that I noticed a lot around the skirt. Well, looking it up close, again, it's not noticeable when you're seeing it from a distance. Here we have is the front little bow here we see on their sailor uniforms. And you do see here the paintwork looks pretty nice. This line here from the white lines here look pretty nicely aligned. And you can see there's a little speck there on one of the thing as well. And underneath her shirt, you do get is a little bit more flesh towards the bottom area, just like we saw with the skirt, which is actually a plus. Again, it gives it a lot more detail than just being it flat. And there's a lot of creases on her shirt or her sailor uniform, which is actually pretty detailed. So far they did a pretty nice paint job on this. Amazing work from freeing. And again, you see here the paint and the white on the little section there. I don't really see too much of an issue there. Here we have is the other hand sculpt, or should I say the arm sculpt, which you do see here is the paint. Again, looks pretty nice. A lot of detail here on the creases, which is pretty appreciated. So here in this back portion, I did notice here on this little section of the sailor uniform that the paint is actually a little bit off. You can kind of see here the line is like not perfect, exact. But it still looks pretty nice. Don't get me wrong, it's probably a little nitpick that I'm saying, but I feel like it should have been maybe a little bit more aligned. The rest of it looks good except for that little portion there, but again, it's not that noticeable unless you look really close to it like we're doing on the video here. But again, this could just be my figurine, and this portion of the figure is actually flexible. But I advise don't really be flexing the figurine like that. It's not made to do that. I think they do that so then during transit while it's moving around and shifting, it keeps it from breaking. So here we have is her little hand gestures, which no, is not a gang sign. It's actually just an antler position where you put your fingers up on both sides like that to create like a little antlers on the top. No, it's not a gang sign. But here you can see the fingers are actually quite detailed. A little bit hard to get on camera, but she does have pink fingernails and they're a little bit of glossy finish towards it, which is pretty a nice touch. Here we have his Noko-tan's face, which is pretty cute. You see her little smile there, has a little, you know, bumps around her lips, which is pretty cute, kind of representing a deer, which is actually quite nice. I did notice that the eyes are a little bit shifted weird. I think that's because she has a little bit of a head tilt. So because she's tilting her head a little bit to the side, I think they positioned the eyes not really straight, but they're a little bit to the side. Kind of had the same thing when I did the Spice and Wolf figurine, where the eyes weren't aligned perfectly. But again, I think that's because she had her head's a little bit shifted. Same thing with this figurine, the head's a little bit shifted. So you see the hair is actually quite detailed as well, such as the face, and they added a lot of detail to it. It's even towards the top portion and from the bottom, it actually looks pretty well. The hair is a little bit flexible, but again, I do advise don't really be flexing the hair like this. I'm only showing you guys that it is, just to avoid breaking it. And here's a closer look on the antlers. They're actually quite stiff. They're not flexible, so don't really be bending the antlers, which, you know, just like regular deers, they're not supposed to be bended or bendable, but just to prevent from breaking it, don't really be flexing it too much. But again, it's overall a pretty nice figurine. It's actually pretty cute, especially her face with the little smile there. I think they did a pretty nice paint job around it. Besides the little specks that we did see on the skirt, that is actually not noticeable from a distance, but it's something that I did see when we were looking close. But again, a pretty nice figurine, and it's pretty cute. So let's just connect this to the base and, you know, complete the figurine. Alright guys, so that was Good Smell & Company's freeing 1/6 scale PVC figure of the character Shikanoko Noko from the series Shikanoko Noko koしたんたん, or My Deer Friend Nokotan. All in all, I gotta say is it's actually such a pretty nicely painted figurine. I actually really like it because it's quite simplistic, and it actually really nicely represents the series with, you know, Noko-tan doing her little antler gesture, just like we saw in the intro of the anime. I am an anime only, so I'm not certain how far in the manga that it is in this series. From what I know, I think it's still ongoing. So I hope Freeing makes companion pieces for this figurine. It'd be cool to have the other 4 characters, such as Torako, Meme, Meme, and Uncle. It would be pretty cool to have all 4 of them there, all lined up together doing almost the same gesture. And maybe a little bit more like Torako being a little bit more awkward with it, because, you know, she's like wants to be like the perfect girl. Yeah, it would be cute to have all of them aligned, but so far this is the only one they made. But that's gonna be the end of this one, guys. I don't want to keep holding you guys back. I'll leave you guys off with the figure rotating in 360. If you have not checked out this series, I'd recommend it. It's pretty fun and pretty cute little series, and also read the manga as well. So as always, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's gonna be the end of this one. So always support the original creators for said series. Thank you guys for supporting the video as always, and as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.